Hello, everyone. It is now 7 p.m. I'm Della Curry,
And I am Jonelle Dinabazu.
and a warm welcome to all of you to this week's edition of Community Conversation.
All right. Can you believe it, Daryl? Tonight's show marks our 54th show. And as you can see, I'm sitting in the big chair with you right now. So Mr. Siron is not here with us. I hope that you enjoy your time wherever you are, Mr. Siron. And a lot happened this week. So we'll try to get to some of it tonight and keep you updated on community conversation because that's what we do, right?
Definitely, and I hope we take the throw up on student leadership for tonight's segment and make Mr. Siron proud with it. So starting off, if you missed the Easter egg hunt last weekend, you've mixed quite a good opportunity and quite good fun. The participants spent the afternoon with real rabbits, and there were a lot of eggs to be found and a very engaging process with the children and everyone just to run through and look for everything. They also rode horses, played with the goats, sheep, and other animals on the farm in a little petting zoo type of establishment. A special attraction was a drone, which was donated to the KOP Soaring Eagles recently. So that, of course, had the most excitement, that technological fix for all of our students.
That sounds amazing. Something I would love to be a part of. Definitely. They had a lot of fun. And, as you already know, there's a strong positive correlation between health and fitness. That's why KOP Mentoring Network hosted its inaugural fitness party Wednesday on the grounds of Spady Museum in Delray Beach. And if you missed it, you missed a lot of fun. There were lots of exercises, fitness galore. And among the presenters were DNA Total Fitness. They had participants doing hula hoops and other workout activities with energized music. And there was fitness with Miss Rosa, which also had participants jumping, turning, leaning, swaying as part of like a boot camp like regiment. So Daryl, maybe you would have enjoyed it. There was not a dull moment though during the 2 hour party. Eat Better, Live Better provided information on nutrition and snacks for the attendees. They had a chance to learn firsthand their intake on fruits, vegetables, all that good stuff. This was all to promote a more active, healthier lifestyle. And organizers plan to make our youth healthier despite the pandemic. And that is something really essential, especially during the pandemic.
I know
And
I've been a part of that.
you know, we want to send a special shout out to the crew from EJS Project who kept the party going. The festival was indeed a great opportunity for the community to get together, dance, for like physical activity, relieve stress from the day. And it was, you can see Daryl, it was so much fun.
Hitting two birds with one stone, having fun and exercising off that pandemic weight. As I like to say, that would have been nice. I wish I was able to go there, but that won't be the only thing that will be entertaining for you guys. Alongside Rip Rap Arithmetic, that math engagement where you get to make your own TikTok and make a song or dance with the numbers 6, 7, and 8, or Extinguished KOP Mentor Network is accepting applications for its summer stream camp, The Quest. The camp will begin June 21st and run through to August 6th and will feature sessions on cooking, photography, aviation, chess, and a bag full of fun. They will also travel the world in 7 weeks and will give campers a slice of life in each continent, respectively, of course. Travel is still kind of restricted right now. What more? Camp will be on the beach on Singer Island. Transportation will be provided to some parts of the county. For more information, Palm Beach County's Youth Services Department campsite and select their Quest or call 561-665-0151.
Definitely travel the world in 7 weeks. That sounds like an adventure. And now that sounds like it will be the camp for this summer. So
100.
Mr. Siron is not here, but we have Charlie and Jack report. Neil, do you have some video? I know you do. Update. Yep. Last week, Mr. Siron asked you to send in your photos of your dog, and tell us what makes your dog special. Well, several people sent pictures of their cats. So are you saying that when the cat is away, the mice will play? Ooh.
No, I know we're getting a bit of a cat neglect, as a lot of people in the comments have been reporting to us, but I'd rather say that when the dogs are on break, the cats will get their big break. In retrospect, Neil, roll the videos, and we have them right now.
Well, as they say, Daryl, there is never a dull day when it comes to pets. So Mr. Siron will be back next week. Please still continue to send us your photos of your dogs, not your cats. Send them to info@kopmn.org, or you can text them to 561-665-0151. So speaking of dogs, get ready for a great Chihuahua race on Saturday. Do you have a Chihuahua, Daryl?
Oh, definitely no. We're not allowed to have pets, unfortunately.
Well, you're going to miss out on this. Saturday, May 1st from 2 to 4 p.m. From 2 to 4 p.m. at the Spady Museum. If you have a Chihuahua and would like to be part of this event, contact 561-665-0151 or visit KOP Mentoring Network's Facebook page for more information.
A warm welcome to our friends who are joining us on KOP Mentoring Networks or Boca Raton Tribune's Facebook pages or on YouTube. We know that you're listening. We get your texts and emails, and we greatly appreciate them. Please keep them coming forward. We only improve with the criticism that you guys give us and grow moving forward. As usual, shout out to our friends in the Bahamas, Belize, Canada, Jamaica, Japan, Tobago, and the US Virgin Islands. Please remember to share community conversation on your social media pages. If you've missed a show, you can find it on Boca Raton Tribune or KOP Mentor Network's Facebook pages. So, we have been having some great weather the last few days. But it's whether or not we're going to have a full report out to give. So what's the forecast that we have for our lovely meteorologist, Mitha? Let's get Mitha in. And there she is. Hi, Mitha. Take it away.
Hi. That's right, Daryl. We have been enjoying some exceptionally lovely weather this past week. This is the weekend for the new Delray Affair at the Boynton Beach Mall, and you can expect beautiful weather on Saturday. The temperature should rise to 84 degrees throughout the day. However, on Saturday evening, it will be partly cloudy, low 72 with winds at 15 to 25 miles per hour. The sun will rise at 7:01 a.m. and sets at 7:42 p.m. If you are planning on going to the Delray Fair on Sunday, pull out your umbrella and don't forget to pack your coat, because there is a 90% chance of scattered thunders in the morning with it, becoming with widespread in the afternoon. High should be 84 degrees, winds at 15 to 25 miles an hour. Sunday, the sun will rise at 7 a.m. and we expect it to set at 7:42. Thank you and have a great.
Well, thank you on this report, Mitha. Definitely will check it out for this weekend.
Thank you for the warning, by the way. I would not like to get rain on, so 90% chance, you folks, get ready out there.
Definitely. I even already had plans. And now we'll go to our friend, Mr. Maxwell. Here at KOP Mentoring Network, we believe that leadership training prepares youth to manage their time, work in a team setting, set goals, start conversations, facilitate meetings, and make effective presentations, all of which are positive life skills that they will carry on into adulthood. And please direct your attention to our friend, Mr. Maxwell, for our leadership minute.
Time when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. Hi, John Maxwell here. Welcome to Minute with Maxwell. The word is opportunity. And what Coach Wooden was teaching me was that we don't understand or know or cannot see so far ahead that we're going to see every opportunity way out front. But he did say that when it comes, it's too late to prepare. So here's what he was doing. He was saying to me, John, I can't tell you what kind of opportunities are out in front of you, but I know they're there. So if you grow every day, if you develop yourself, if you keep preparing in the areas of your giftedness, when that opportunity comes, you're going to have a good chance of succeeding. I had a conversation one day with Jack Nicklaus, and we were talking about the 18 majors he's won. And I said, Jack, if you got like a 4-foot putt to win the tournament, do you get nervous? And he said, no. He said, John, I really didn't, because I prepared. He said, I prepared. I practiced that 4-foot putt 1,000 times. And so when I get ready to putt it, it's kind of like I've done this before. Now, what was Jack doing? Jack was knowing that there would be a day in a tournament somewhere, someplace, where he'd have a 4-foot putt to win the tournament. If he practiced that day in, day out, when the time came, when the opportunity came, he'd be ready. So I just want to encourage you. Don't wait for the opportunity to come to you. Work for the opportunity. So when it comes, you can do something good about it. Thanks for joining me today on Minute with Maxwell.
Wow, work for the opportunity.
As we all should. Tonight's program is produced by and exclusively with Jonalina Bazo, a graduating senior at Atlantic Community High School and soon-to-be member of the Millbury College class of 2025. As usual, the genius behind those videos you're seeing tonight is our illustrious cinematographer, Nilsonsky Neil Noel, a proud product of KOP Mentoring Network and the Village Academy. Our social media intern is Jasmine Collins, a sophomore at Florida State University. Check out our social media pages to see more of Jasmine's fine work. So we all know what time we're going to be engaging with now. We're all ready for it. So let's bring in Mr. John to have our engagement conversation. Hi, Mr. John, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Nothing much, sir. So why don't you give us a certain update on what's going on in the world right now?
Man, it's a lot going on. I would say kind of the biggest thing, is gun violence. I would say that have taken place since the world has opened up a little bit. Now that the vaccine is out and 20% of this country has been vaccinated. I believe 20 to 25% of the country has been vaccinated. And unfortunately, in general, with that and with summer approaching as we're ending spring, apparently now there's been a rise in gun violence. So I would say gun violence over these last couple of weeks have been rampant. And outside of gun violence, of course, COVID is still going on. And then I would say, outside of gun violence, that's been really, the majority of what's taken place this week.
Definitely. Lately, it's just been all over the place for me on the news. The most shocking stories that I found were that a former NFL player went and shot his former coach and mentor, his wife, and 2 grandchildren and another family member, totaling 5, with another 6 person being injured in the shooting. And the suspect was later found dead in a self-inflicted gunshot wound in the bedroom of a home about half a mile away that he shared with his parents. And then listen out. 24 hours later, sir, the police in the town of Bryan, Texas, said that a man opened fire in Thursday afternoon at a cabinet store, killing 1 person and injuring 5 others. With all of this that's going on right now, what can you necessarily pinpoint with this point of action why this is in a certain rise of late, especially?
I would say that, one thing to look at in a conversation that we've had in the past as a country, as far as assault rifles and other automatic rifles and guns that can, are built for wartime, war zone guns that can kill a lot of people in a short amount of time. And so that's what, in most cases, that's what has been used in these mass shootings. And also, it's a conversation that we've had through Sandy Hook and through some other school shootings of, when are we going to address gun violence in this country? And so it's political, just like everything, it's turned political. And the NRA and the monies that they've spent helping campaigns and people that are supporting and pushing that narrative. And so it's just a tricky balance of, making sure that Americans feel like they're protected. They have the right to bear arms for the Second Amendment. But it's also important to know, and any constitutional scholars, that, when that amendment, was first came about, it was, militias. And so it was more of wartime military thought process. And I'm under the thought that, if the true intent is for us to be able to protect ourselves, then why do you need a assault rifle, to protect yourself? And I can understand in instances, unfortunately, where the need may be felt to have a gun in order to protect your life, your family's life. But it's one thing to have a handgun. It's another thing to have weapons that are only found on the battlefield. And so, yeah, that kind of just says where our country is. We've had this conversation before, and we've done our prayers and well wishes, unfortunately, to too many families, too many people that have been victims of gun violence, and yet there's been no resolution. There's been a lot of conversation, but no action to it, and action with teeth. No real federal law, no real movement with it. You had a couple of states, try some things, but I think it is time for a national conversation and really work to outline and actually give us the country direction and guidance on the Second Amendment and how it makes sense for us as a country moving forward.
Definitely. And I think, it's just still strange to me, even though we discussed this last week. I mean, people are preparing with the mentality that there's like factions of madmen and zombies, like in World War Z, just clamoring around the neighborhood, waiting to strike them. And even though I do recognize and appreciate the fact that the Second Amendment is valued in our Constitution, it's been blown out of proportion and politicized, of course, and somewhat abused in many cases. And I think we're able to see that just Thursday, where the shootings occurred on the same day that President Joe Biden released a full list of executive orders to address gun violence. So we discussed here last week the importance of regulation. So with that executive order being in place so coincidentally on that day, how effective do you think it's going to be moving forward into the future?
Yeah, it's a good point. So on Thursday, for all of our listeners, Joe Biden's he cracked down to cut down on gun violence by issuing a suite of executive orders directing the Justice Department to limit the proliferation of guns and announcing a nominee to the federal agency charged with battling illegal guns trafficking for the first time in years. So this is the first time the president has moved to create an executive order, which he's able to do. And so he charged the Justice Department. They have 30 days to come up with a proposal to limit these ghost guns, which are guns that are made from kits containing nearly all of the different parts of a weapon, but it's without the serial number. So there's no tracking of these guns. So it's guns that people have, but most of the time guns have a serial number, so they can be tracked. These guns are in the hands of individuals, and we don't even know who bought them or any kind of anything about them. And so he's also, they have 60 days to publish a model red flag legislation for states So his whole idea is, let's charge the Justice Department with seriously looking at gun violence. Let's put real measures, that can go into place and hopefully make our country safer, while also having people feel like that they still have the protections of the Second Amendment.
That's a great point that you put forward.
And there are, like, even with these executive orders, there's still a loophole in the system, such as boyfriend and stalking loopholes that currently allow people found by the courts to be abusers to possess firearms. Do you know, like, as far as you know, are there any measures in place to address these loopholes?
And I know that Biden's administration, is aware of these loopholes, and the boyfriend loophole, for example, was currently, if you commit a serious crime of domestic abuse against your wife, you can't get a gun. But if you do it against your girlfriend, you can. So that's a way where, of course, if it's your wife and you're charged and convicted with domestic abuse, then you can no longer purchase weapons. But if it's your girlfriend and that happens, you don't have that same prohibition. So that's weird. And then even if you think of just the different loopholes, background check loopholes, online gun sales, the gun show loophole. We talked about the boyfriend loophole, the Charleston loophole, hate crime loophole. So there's so many different loopholes where individuals are able to get guns despite, having a background that probably shouldn't warrant them getting a gun. And so I think with these measures by President Biden to address that will go a long way in curbing gun violence, and hopefully it's a step in the right direction. I still think we have a long way to go, but I think finally someone is actually making real measured steps to publish these executive orders. And I will say, the good thing about executive orders that although they aren't law, they work as law until Congress is able to actually act on it. And so if Congress hasn't spoken on it, then it can operate as law until either the Supreme Court or Congress speaks against it. And so that is the power of the executive order. And so, I think they would want bipartisan support. And so it's always good when you get both houses of Congress to agree on something. But the executive order is a way to put stuff in place, prior to Congress having a chance to act on it.
To go deeper into this, to see the root of the whole conversation being the Second Amendment. When it was derived back in the day, I don't think technology and its enhancement was really considered into the equation. So at the framework of it all, what does the Constitution say about guns in itself? And what does that mean for different artillery that are being developed for other purposes under that, main frame?
So the technical, when you look at the Second Amendment of the Constitution, reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And so that's the actual reading of the Constitution. And yeah, it's, back when this happened, that was a part of society and given. But now, the society has changed than it was back then. And so the charge of the Supreme Court and Congress is to essentially interpret the Constitution and what does something that was written so long ago, how does that apply now, and what does it mean now? And so that's their charge. And you have certain Supreme Court justices that are very literal. So if it's in the Constitution, there's a lot of things in the Constitution that weren't necessarily right or fair to all. And so then you have progressives that actually, read the Constitution, but also understand that society has changed since the Constitution was written, and we should apply certain things more liberally than the actual reading of it. And so, yeah, the Second Amendment kind of reads pretty dry as it relates to the Second Amendment. But as we know, it's just more nuanced than that. It's more nuanced than just simple people getting guns, or the biggest argument, don't take away my guns. And so it's we got a long road. We are just getting started with this. It's going to be a lot of kicking and screaming, but I will say some other countries around the world have done a great job with curbing gun violence, and so hopefully some of the things that they've instituted we should mimic as a country. And then some things we gotta make sure something makes sense, because we also don't want riots and other things that happen in the streets. So it's a tricky balance, and so hopefully these elected officials can make sense of it and get us to a place where no one's going to be 100% happy. That's with any law, right? You're always going to have two separate sides to it, but hopefully we can come to a level agreement where we can agree to disagree, essentially, and move on, and without there being a mass uprising one way or the other.
Perfect.
Yes, definitely. We should also take things into context, like the time and place, and really the current situation, what's really happening right now, as we strive toward what we call a more perfect union.
So, following through, among the proposed rules that Congress will be considering to help stop the proliferation of ghost guns, what's the current status with that? And I think my biggest concern is if there is an executive order that's used and a Republican president takes that away or overrides it, what will be used to address it then?
Hopefully at that point, we have actual law, because right now, for the executive order, any president, if an executive order takes place, and as we've seen, whether you have a Republican or Democratic president, they can keep executive orders, and there's some that they can decide that they don't want anymore. And so it's a lot of flexibility there. And so, yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is, to your point, hopefully before the end of Biden's term, that there's actual true legislation that's been created into federal law, or hopefully it's something that the Supreme Court is able to address, so that we have something with teeth. Because to your point, executive orders are simply that, and they can easily be created and then also taken away. And so hopefully the charge is for the Justice Department to carry out the orders of the president by really taking this seriously and looking and researching and coming up with standards. And then hopefully Congress can act on it so that it becomes law, and that's something that the new president, if part of a different party or just a new president that doesn't like the current president executive order, then there's nothing that they can do about it at that point, because it's law. And so law is law. And when, the federal law, when they act on it, then it's pretty much a done deal at that point.
Mm-hmm. Dina, do you want to carry on through? All right.
Yeah. So, and we should also add that
right. I think I got a report that Dina is having a bit of audio issues. So, just to follow through with what she was saying, we should also add that President Biden's actions come after multiple mass shootings across the country, as I said prior in recent weeks. Which is just crazy to really think about. I think now that we're sort of getting on back on track to normality, that's when abnormality sort of forces its way back in. So it's unfortunate, but I think it's necessary to show the holes that are in our legislative system, especially towards gun control. So it just gives us an update on where we currently stand and the things we need to fix. One such thing is being addressing the shooting at multiple massage parlors in Atlanta that may or may not coincide with Asian hate and discrimination, and another mass shooting that left 10 people dead at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado. So moving along from the heaviness of that, hopefully there is a bring of light that we can bring into community conversation today. We all know that the rapper DMX was in a bit of a health issue with a recent drug overdose. So, Mr. John, do you have any good news to end us off?
Yeah, the legendary rapper has passed. It was confirmed today that he was holding on. He had to rush to the hospital due to a drug overdose. Kind of waiting to get a little bit more details on that. I know the brother, struggled with that. That was one of the things that he struggled with, and he went to rehab. He sought help, and so it's looking like he may have relapsed, but I know that there's still more questions that need to be answered. But I do know that whatever the situation was behind the drug use is that he did pass. So, God rest his soul. One of the people that I listened to growing up. And so he's definitely a legend, no question, in the rap game. Definitely well known within the Black community and the entire world. And so, to his family and friends, my sincere condolences to them. And another person gone too soon.
That's unfortunate. Whoa. Okay, that was heavy. Oh geez. Okay.
Yes.
It's fine. This week, I guess it was a bit of up and down side. Yeah. So hopefully we can have an upturn for our guests next week. But for now, thank you so much, Mr. John, for all the updates that you gave us, and keep moving strong. Have a good weekend.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to have you, Mr. John.
So tonight, surprise, surprise, we're going to decide to do things a bit differently, and I won't be here anymore. So let's see what Dina has in store for you and who will be joining us in my replacement. See you guys later.
Hello, Delina. Welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight this evening. Does your camera work?
Yes, I'm working on there right now.
All right, so let's put a picture for our audience tonight. Tonight, let's have you imagine, if you can, more than 80 poets from all over the world, every continent, 33 countries. And imagine if these poets from every generation, spoken word artists, poets with books or no book, all come together to share the spirit of poet activists as 100,000 Poet for Change organizers. And in 2011, poet Michael Rothenberg posed a question on Facebook. Would you be willing to organize a day of poetry to celebrate change in your community? That question went out on social media network sphere like ruderal seeds in the wind. Poets and even artists responded enthusiastically. And since then, 100,000 Poets for Change, co-founders Michael Rothenberg, Terry Carrion, have supported poets, writers, artists, musicians, mimes, and other creative organization of arts events advocating for peace, justice, and sustainability. What an amazing movement. And each year, hundreds of thousands of Poet for Change events are held simultaneously in communities around the world on the fourth Saturday of September. And this is always an encouraging adventure with diverse voices, like mind connecting across the world, across borders, globally. And tonight, we have one of the organizers with us. A local group, Miss Sonia Presley. Is Miss Presley? Yes, thank you for being with us, Miss Presley. How are
You're
you?
welcome. I'm all right, and yourself? Thanks for having me, Dina.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
You're welcome.
So we know that Michael Rothenberg and Terry Carrion founded
Yes.
The movement at the national level 10 years ago, and you were one of the organizers on the local level. How did you get involved, if I may ask?
Certainly. I've actually got involved through a friend, just so you know, as one of the organizers. It's actually four of us. We're women entrepreneurs by day, and we're also artists. And just so you know, it's Francesca Smith. Actually, she's been with Michael since the beginning, and they started doing the event down in Hollywood. And it's just grown. I mean, we've skipped a couple of years here on out, but the team is still together. So Francesca Smith, Imone Prosper, Kendria Wilson, and myself. And our last event that we did was in 2017. Getting involved with this was monumental. It was 2013 when I was officially introduced. So I came 3 years after it. And being kind of like what you would consider of an artist slash kind of geek, I like the best of both worlds. I fell in love just because of the mission and seeing the different type of artists that were presented. It boils down to, if you have a mission, if you are really about, and I will say, living in a sense, because it kind of works out both ways, peace, sustainability, justice. With the arts, you can just have fun, and that's what we've done. I mean, in 2015, we introduced you might as well say, the musician aspect of it. We were already doing that, I myself being into music, but we really honed on that, so it was more of a showcase. And what we appreciate about the event is each year it's up to the community and that organizer and that group, that area, to focus on an initiative. Case in point, tonight, you all were speaking about gun violence. Since I've been growing up, that's been a thing, especially living here in Florida. I've just seen a lot, but it seems like that can be a focus for us, this year, along with whatever else the teens have in mind.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a great event, and it was founded for a purpose. Could you share with us what inspired the beginning of this, what we now call 100,000 Poet for Change, or Poets and Musicians for Change?
All right. Well, I don't know if it seemed like you caught some of Michael's background, but himself being an American poet, also, you might as well say it, professor. I know he works at the university level. He's an environmentalist and so on. It really went down to that disconnect. You have artists, you have poets all over, but there's like a disconnect. I have right here, which is not affiliated with 100 Poets, 1,000 Musicians for Change, but something that I've been a part of. Let me hold it up here in the camera. 2008 Poetry Magazine. And the reason why I'm showing you this, because it ties into the whole mission on why Poets and Musicians for Change it exists, to bring artists from around the world together. Those books and what I'm showing you was before Facebook, before social media. We have artists in here from Haiti, from Chile, Italy. I'm probably mixing up countries here, Mexico, but all over the world. And this was their first opportunity to pretty much come together and collaborate and produce. I mean, we were already working virtual before virtual was, as big as it is now. So you take someone like Michael who's thinking, okay, we have this, the World Wide Web, we have artists. How can we come together on a day and how can we have this synergy, this effort where we're all gathering this one day, it's the last quarter, like you mentioned, the last Saturday in September, to get together and showcase and really chime out. And the whole point is to be seen. And when you think about a synergetic effort as that, as such, over 100 countries, just imagine what comes out of that. So the mission is, it's all about healing. It's all about feeling good and appreciation at the highest level. I would say that.
Wow, nothing but magic. And it's amazing that you center it around communities, because really that's where the change began to even start. Delina, do you have the next question?
What issues do you highlight in the celebration, and what change do you hope to see as a result of this gathering?
Well, one has been a major highlight is the social injustice, the inequities that we see. That's remained a constant theme over the years. I'm championing for that. For us at the local level, just to bring it home here, our last event, as you know, we were having the disaster, so we focused more on giving back. There was an event for 100,000 Poets and Musicians for Change down at our local coffee shop. And during that, we were holding a fundraiser. That way we can send items over to Puerto Rico. So it's going to be whatever is need. If the need is gun violence, if there's a focus on that, then of course that's what we want the mission to be. I think this year here, we're going to see a little different because we're engaging more of the teens and taking a real strategic approach. I think Dean and I have spoken about that, where we're starting off from April through June. We're going to be working in Delray, and this is an opportunity for those who are interested to sign up and participate in those workshops. Myself as one of the workshop presenters, and there'll be a few others. It's an opportunity for you to sharpen your skills, become familiar with yourselves, tap into that artist, find out who you are, and then present. And maybe it's a spoken word, maybe it's poetry, maybe it's music, maybe you want to paint or draw, or you just want to get up and express yourself, or perhaps you want to read a piece from a former poet, someone who's passed on. That's all doable. The whole point is we want self-expression, we want healing, and we want anyone who's going to speak up and not afraid to come out. And really, with the youth population, what you all are doing is great. So we're hoping that you would definitely be a part of this. And again, it's an opportunity. Reading back, it's not meant to be a closed door, event. It has been some, treated as such. We're happy that we're able to be down in Delray and stream live. We're going to be outside as it should be, where those who are out, if they can walk up and, be a part, because we'll be down there hopefully at Milagro Center. We're looking forward to it.
Amazing. Like the environment, the outside space really provides a place for people to express themselves. And there are so many ways you can express yourself, as you have mentioned before. And you have been doing this for 10 years. You were celebrating 10 years of existence. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yes.
So can you talk about some of the highlights and changes that have occurred during those years?
Well, of course, and I'm going to share the highlights and change, because a joy for me is keeping up with it, being here in West Palm Beach, and then, tuning into what's going on through the world. And I encourage you all to check out 100tpc.org. That is the official original site, has all the blog and the history. And I think the thing that stands out today in my head is the 2015, the Worldwide Conference, where they gathered in Italy. And it was just under 100 participants. but for those poets to come together and to see the action and the activity that's taken place since then. Where this event is known as an annual event, we've seen a rampage. I'm part of the Facebook group. There are people holding events. You know, April is National Poetry Month. There are still poetry events going on. So while the last Saturday in September is the celebration, there's efforts going on. So there are artists out here, there are poets, there are champions out here for the cause. And yes, they see the issue, they're watching the news, but they're writing it out. I mean, some of the benefit from this, just as a whole, from teens to adults, is the therapy session. It's therapeutic. We all know writing is therapy, expression, music, art. I mean, so much goes into it. From the educational standpoint, I can just share something with you, and then hopefully this just adds a little bit more insight. I remember being in college, and I attended as an adult, and I remember my first class was American literature, and I was frustrated because with all my experience and everything, why do I have to take this class? And I remember inquiring with the professor. I asked him, I said, Professor Mark, how is this course going to enhance my life? And he said, well, Sonia, I can't tell you how it's going to enhance your life, but I can tell you by studying the authors and their verbiage, you know, studying their course, how they wrote and about them, learning about them, that's going to give you insight. And when he said that, a light bulb went on in my head, because I looked, I wasn't just reading the material, was no longer, you know, it didn't matter if it was fiction or nonfiction. I was curious about the person behind and why they wrote it, and also thinking about that time span and what was going on. So when we think about art, when we think about poetry, when we think about arts as a whole, it's a reflection of our environment at that time. So it's almost taking a snapshot. So each year there's something different. 2015, we had the world get together and say, okay, we've been doing this since 2011. Now we're going to do a conference. It's been a couple of years. Let's all get together and celebrate. Well, we've done that. We came out. Could they do another conference? I don't know if conferences have come up, but I do know there have been consistently poetry sessions going through. And even for areas such as ourselves where we haven't been consistent, just being able to have that archive. One of the benefits is that when this event kicked off, Stanford University out in California, they archived this as a part of their LOCKS program. So, you know, that's something monumental as well. Information is being archived, added to history, so we know. So you have the news and so on, but you also have the people who are they're living through it. And I think that's what makes it even better, because these are real life, everyday you and I type people expressing themselves and talking about whatever it is at that time. Beyond the injustice, we're seeing togetherness, that connectivity. As an artist, we tend to be naturally isolated. We're different. There's so much that goes into it, but we're also finding that togetherness. You're finding your niche, your fit. I can go on. I hope that answered your question.
There's a lot, and I love that you mentioned the writing portion is therapeutic, because I have experienced it myself. It's amazing. And you also mentioned that the work starts like now. It's not what you see in April, and especially all that have happened this year. You'll see that reflected in the work that we're doing now. Time does change things a bit.
Yes, it does.
Selena? All right. And now, Delina, with our next question for you.
This is a global event that occurs around the world. I can imagine all these artists talking about poetry, about arts and activism, women's issues, oral versus print traditions, and organizing. Are there interpreters there translating into English, Italian, and other languages as well?
At the local events, I'm going to say the events that we've hosted here, no, we welcome that if we have an interpreter, someone who would be willing to. I can tell you at other events, yes. I mean, for those especially who are disabled and challenged, don't think that events don't take place. They, you know, there's art expression. It is an opportunity. It's available. I would just say anyone who's participating, just know that call them champions of life as far as your question goes, you know, this being a worldwide event and for those who are participating, but it is open for interpretation and for the interpreters to be a part.
Well, talking about a worldwide social justice initiative that's been brought about by thousands of poets all over the world. And this event occurs simultaneously. In other words, at the same time around the world, like everyone is experiencing this event. Talk to us about the importance of the timing in this event.
All right. The timing is important. I think that goes back to what I mentioned in the beginning is about the synergy and it being a synergistic, effort. Of course, around the world, there's different times. We're all in a different time zone. But what gives me chills every time is the reading through the countries, starting all the way through A and going through Z, which can take a couple of minutes. That alone. And we know that depending on the time, a day in which we're hosting, it's a different time in another place. But again, it's just that one day where it's just poetry. It's music, it's art. It's time for expression. You don't see that happening anywhere else unless there, other little small gatherings, but not at the artistic level, not at the artist level. You just don't.
Wait, does the time in the different countries conflict with that, or does it?
Not at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not at all. As a matter of fact, so we're hosting here. Let's say another area, maybe in another part of Florida decides to, they're welcome to host as well. It's just different events going on the same time today. We want as many poetry events that can take place, or should I say activities, artists getting together and being champions, just speaking. And although it's about peace, sustainability, and justice, it should be I want to say a positive occasion, because the whole point is to promote peace, is to upbuild, is to enlighten. You should walk away feeling refreshed and energized.
That sounds like an amazing event to be a part of.
Now, what I can tell you, what we're doing here for this year, working down at the center, going through that series where we'll be with you all for a couple of months, say April through June, getting you honing your skills, and then spending the summer months going through the rehearsal, preparing for the day of. And usually with this event, it's just something that everyone can partake in. There's really no giveaway, but because we are opening this up to the teens and we do want to, offer, we do have a few things lined up and planned for you all, or for those that will be participating.
Definitely.
Are there any incentives for participating?
The incentives, yes. For the teens, we are setting aside a scholarship, monetary scholarship.
Scholarship. I'm excited.
Yes.
The amount, is there a set amount?
There is. It's small. It's not very, very large, but I'll say a couple of hundreds is what we're doing. We definitely want the teens to get involved. We understand some can, if you've never performed, it can be a, nerve-wracking, you're unsure, but that's why you're going to start now spending your time that way. The day of, when September comes, you'll be ready. So I think having a monetary incentive is a good way to, motivate you to sign up, contact. Right now, as you, I see you have the site going through the bottom100tpc.org. We are officially, it's been announced, Michael has uploaded the information as of last week. Right now, we're gearing up to update our local page, which is 100tpmc.org, because when we started the Musicians for Change, that was us. And we're happy to see that others kind of got on and just went on with it, because it expanded from poets to musicians and now artists. So if you're into painting, drawing, it's all levels are welcome. And where I'm going is that there will be an actual sign-up list to collect names and attendees and so on.
Great, amazing. I can't wait to be a part of this amazing event that's promoting change, really environmental, social change. That's such an amazing event to be a part of, really. Yes, and the incentive is a plus, and that will definitely motivate me more to participate.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for all that you do for organizing this event locally and bringing people together, encouraging the youth, something that I think is essential, especially this summer. We've been spending a lot of time along this area to express ourselves is welcoming. And really will be beneficial to us, I believe.
I You're welcome. And I agree with that, especially through this COVID. I mentioned gun violence, but that may be another, topic for someone to speak on. This pandemic, just what it has done to them, the change. Some have endured more stress. We all have been touched at some point. It'll be an opportunity to share that and see how we all come out. So I'm looking forward to engaging. I think Anthony Bacchus and Milagro Center for being open, and shout out to Blue Pearl, as I mentioned in the beginning, Francesca, Imone, and Kendria, because we started this and we just want to continue. It's an effort that's needed, and I just want to point out that this is actually our first time actually giving something monetary. We've had artists perform in the past and name artists, and it's been a labor of love. But because we really want to encourage the teen, especially, this is not meant to be school, but think of it the fun side of the arts community. We want you to partake of this. I mean, you are our future. Get involved. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Wow, what a way to end your Friday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Delina has been with us this evening also. That will, Neil, all right. That was a great treat, especially the fact that April is National Poetry Month. And that will about do it for this week's edition of Community Conversation. We hope that you learned something tonight that will make significant impact on your life this year. And I cannot stress this enough. There is no greater investment that you can make on a Friday night than being with like-minded peeps on Community Conversation. Oh, Delina, you're muted, I believe. It looks like you're muted.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. Thank you to all our guests, for participants, for enlightening us. And a big sincere shout out to the Boca Raton Tribune for simultaneously casting us on Facebook and YouTube. A special thanks to our sponsors, Healthier Delray Beach, Blanc New Look Barbershop, The Night Group, DNA Total Fitness, Jeff Stern CPA, Wellness Financial, Roots and Wings, Ezra Craig, Marcia Eisenberg, and Doug Young.
Thank you to all sponsors. Thanks to all sponsors, we can bring Community Conversation every Friday night to you, to your home or wherever you are. So Delina, what is our featured guest for next week?
We will have Mr. Peace Herman, who is an intern at Scripps Research Institute. Mr. Herman attended Boca High School and graduates from FAU in 2 weeks. He is a professional photographer and will be teaching photography at KOP STEM Summer Camp. The Quest this summer, Mr. Herman will share pointers on the numerous opportunities that are available in the photography industry as well as the medical field.
Well, that sounds like it's going to be another amazing show. But before we leave you tonight, we have some very sad news. And it is very sad news. We have a note from our producers, our Neil in the background here, a note from his best friend currently watching from the UK. His message is that it disheartens him to that a member of the royal family, a precious soul, has departed from our world. He lives on in paradise. He lives on in our hearts. May God bless the royal family. From Dashyan. I hope I got that correctly. At the age of 99 years old, he lived a loyal life. Amazing. Thank you so much, Neil, for that last segment. We hope that Prince, we hope that he rests in peace.
Remember to wear your mask this week and have a wonderful weekend.
Yes, and we leave you with this.
A mask can say a lot about the person who wears it. But even more about the person who doesn't.
Good evening. Stay safe.
Information. If it exists in writing, we print it. If it exists online, we update it. If it exists on mobile, we notify. If it exists in video, we show it. If it exists in audio, we play it. In the past, the news had to wait for a paper to print for it to happen. Today, news happens in real time. It's analyzed, edited, and published immediately by us, your neighbors, and of course, you. Wherever you are, you write, edit, give opinions, share photos, and make the news happen. This is why a paper needs to be on print, on screen, and on your phone. Wherever you are, your news has its pulse in the community. The Boca Raton Tribune. We are much more than just a newspaper. We are your closest neighbor.